This one's a little bit painful for me, I got to be honest, because here at College Football with Sam, I have been pretty high on PJ Fleck year over year over year. In 2021, 2022, and 2023, I had Minnesota winning 9 regular season games, 8 or 9 regular season games, I believe, in all of those years. Actually, I'm pretty confident it was 9-3 was my prediction for them in 21, 22, and 23. And now, well, they went 8-4, 8-4, 5-7. It looks like it could be 5-7 again. I picked him to go 6-6 this year. Don't worry, I didn't pick him to go 9-3 again. That would have been, given the schedule and the questions they have, ridiculous. But 6-6 might be overshooting it again. This might be the 4th year in a row where I have predicted PJ Fleck to win more games, in some years drastically more games than he ends up winning. My question for all of you is PJ Fleck on the hot seat after that loss to Iowa, that 14-31 loss, where Minnesota led at the half, 14-7, could have been 14-0 if they hadn't turned it over in their own territory. That's what gave Iowa the Caleb Johnson 1-yard run on 5 plays, 38 yards. But Minnesota was decisively, and I mean decisively, ahead at halftime. I mean, they were given a 72.5% chance to win per FPI. The momentum was in their direction. And then Iowa comes out and shuts them out 24-0 in the second half. 17-0 in the third quarter. It was honestly a Kirk Ferentz with an offense masterclass. That's what it was. What Kirk Ferentz did is, after he got taped down by PJ Fleck and put in a chair, he stood up with the chair, kicked PJ Fleck over, broke everything in the house in a fit of rage, trying to get off the tape and get out of the chair, broke all the pottery, the vases, the table, the chairs, the furniture, the china, and just burned everything down with PJ Fleck in it. That's what it feels like, because Minnesota is in a similar situation to another team I talked about on this stream in Auburn. They're 2-2, 0-1 in conference, and their upcoming conference slate is, yikes, very tough. If Michigan lost to USC, Michigan would be in a similar situation to these two teams as well. Not quite to the same extreme, because Michigan has more talent and a higher upside and ceiling on offense and defense. Offense for running the football. But Minnesota, they play Michigan this coming week. After that, they host USC. They then play at UCLA, get a bye, and then host Maryland, play at Illinois November 2nd, play at Rutgers November 9th, get a bye to host Penn State November 23rd, and they play at rival Wisconsin Friday, November 29th, which is already scheduled to be at noon on CBS. That's a tough schedule. Every team on Minnesota's schedule from here on out, outside of maybe UCLA on the road and maybe Maryland at home, will probably be favored to beat Minnesota, which leaves Minnesota in a 4-8, 2-7 type season, which would be Fleck's. Wouldn't that be PJ Fleck's worst season since his first, or maybe even worse than his first at Minnesota? At that point, if he were to have that type of record, 4-8, 5-7 again, his whole tenure would be coming full circle. He would have arrived where he started. In 2017, they went 5-7, 2-7 in Big Ten Conference play. And that North Carolina loss to James Madison, when I saw that, the first thought that popped in my head, part of it's because I'm mainly focused on the Big Ten, is, oh man, what does that say about Minnesota? Because Minnesota lost to that team. They should have beaten them. I thought Minnesota outplayed North Carolina in most categories except for special teams, which is what won North Carolina the game. But my goodness, that was awful by UNC. And that team beat Minnesota in their own place. And Iowa, who's way better than North Carolina, and who is a team that could actually hold their own in the playoff for at least a half, if not a quarter, more than North Carolina could. They killed. I mean, they murdered Minnesota in their own home. That game was not close. It was close for a half. It was close for a half and a fourth. Yeah, that's the proper measurement. And Max Brosmer, 22 of 37, 209 yards, 2 TDs, and 2 picks. At one point, he did look pretty good, but that was just at one point. And right now, Minnesota does not have the offensive line play, the defensive play, or the quarterback play, or the coaching to beat a team like Iowa, who has a great near-elite O-line, a near-elite elite running back room, same level of play at tight end when healthy, upgraded receivers and quarterbacks due to better coaching and scheming, and an elite defense. That right there makes a top 25 team. And Minnesota is not going to be a top 25 team with what they have shown us through 4 games, through a third of their season. And it's about to get a lot harder. Michigan on the road is quite frankly Iowa, except in a road environment. And Michigan might be Iowa on steroids, minus a lower ceiling somehow in the passing department. It's not a good look for Minnesota and for PJ Fleck, who right now is 7-18 in Big Ten games since the end of his 11-2, 7-2 campaign in the Big Ten in 2019, where he tied for first in the Big Ten West, and he's 3-7 since the start of the 2023 season in Big Ten games. Not a good look, honestly. Not a good look. Running the football is pretty phenomenal. It's awesome. But Minnesota didn't run the football. They went all pass heavy on Iowa. 22 of 37, 21 carries. Darius Taylor only got 10 carries on the day, and he wasn't getting the football in the third quarter when it was a close game and it was competitive. So what's going on? It seems like Minnesota is kind of honestly flailing all over the place, is sort of what it seems like to me. I don't think the team's quit on PJ Fleck. I don't think PJ Fleck has quit. But clearly what Minnesota has done in the past isn't working here, or the staff doesn't think it will work. And they're trying something new when maybe, running Darius Taylor for 20 to 30 times a game is your path to winning. I mean, Minnesota only ran for 79 yards against Iowa. Iowa ran for 272 yards. And Iowa had a sack on Minnesota. Minnesota had a sack on Iowa. You take away, sack yardage, Iowa runs for even closer to 300 yards on Minnesota, 45 carries, 6 yards per carry, 4 rushing touchdowns. It was crazy. When you are at Minnesota and you are outrushing them for 200 yards, you have plus 200 rushing yards on them. That's impressive, or at least it was. I don't know if it's impressive anymore, and that's the point. If PJ Fleck is going to finish with his second losing season in a row at Minnesota, who is not at the top of the Big Ten in terms of resources, but still gets Big Ten resources, and they had a schedule with some opportunity, is he on the hot seat? Or is he given another year like, hey, let's see what you can do in 2025? After all, he has 3 seasons of 9 wins or more. 9-4 and 21 and 22, and tons of injuries occurred in those seasons. It was impressive what Minnesota was able to do in those years. And 2019, where Minnesota finished ranked top 10 and had their best season in a while. Maybe you don't put PJ Fleck on the hot seat. Maybe you just pressure him to hire better coordinators with the money that Minnesota is receiving. Being a part of the Big Ten and receiving a lot more money than most ACC and Big 12 schools, many of whom right now look better than the Minnesota Golden Gophers do. I don't know exactly what's going on, if Fleck is on the hot seat or not. I just want your thoughts, and also in the comments section, let me know who some candidates might be for the Minnesota coaching job if it comes open, in your opinion. Wow. Excuse me. Had a little bit of a burp there. But yeah, I mean, I look here at PJ Fleck, and it's it feels, honestly, it feels like the dam is going to break loose if they have a losing season again. Thank you to my Patreon members for sponsoring this video and channel. I want to give a shout out to Crash2488 and Brasco Rascal for being Heisman Patreon members at $25 a month. If you sign up as a Heisman for 6 months at $25 a month, you will get signed free College Football with Sam merchandise of your choice delivered to you, plus access to my weekly college football picks straight up and also against the spread. You get access to the picks, just not the signed merchandise if you're an All-American member at $10 a month. Thanks to Chris Slade, Kind of Little OH, Ismar, Tyler Nye, and Chilton Cush for being All-American members. And if you just want your name featured at the end of every video with a shout-out, sign up as an All-Conference member for $5 a month. Thank you, John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Steele, Austin Christmas, and Janisha Cockrell for being All-Conference members. The links to my merchandise store and my Patreon page, both ways to support the channel, are in the description and also down below in the pinned comment. And I also encourage you to join my Discord via the link in the description and also in the pinned comment. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.